I'm going to be going through each role. There's going to be 2 characters from each role. I'll also have honorable mentions at the end, and I'll also be sharing with you a quick tip on how to get better at the game overall. So the first character that we're going to talk about is going to be Thor. Thor, in my opinion, is one of the best tanks in the game, if not the best tank in the game. He might get a nerf, that's how strong he is. Let's talk about his passive. So if you notice underneath my crosshair, underneath the reticle, you'll notice that there's 3 hammers. These 3 hammers are going to be how you use your abilities. Each hammer that you use, basically each ability that you use, is going to give you bonus health. So as an example, if I were to just use his first ability, I get bonus health on that. Anytime you consume it, you get bonus health. You can kind of see why he's a bit strong right now. Now that we got his passive out the way, let's talk about his first ability. So his first ability is a dash. When you press it, he'll go a certain distance, and then the longer you hold it, the further he'll go. As you see, the distance is much greater. This ability also knocks back players. So if I tap it, you'll get knocked back, and if I hold it, you'll get knocked back even further, just like that. Another thing is that this can go vertical. So a lot of the times carries will be inside of an area you can't reach as a tank most of the time. Or a healer will be, but it doesn't matter for Thor because Thor can pretty much get wherever he wants to go, and it's on a very, very, very low cooldown. Like, this is ridiculous. This is pretty much just permaflight at this point. And every time you use it, again, you get bonus health. That does stack. So, like, this dude is coming at you while stacking bonus HP. So he's gonna have an overshield when he gets to you. He's strong. The second ability that he has looks like a barrier, but it's not a barrier. You can still get shot through it and people can still walk through it. But what it does is it grants you more of those passive hammers anytime people walk through that bubble. So it's safe to say really the best time to use that is when you're near people or when you're running away from them, because they're gonna walk through it, granting you those bonus stacks. His third ability is going to be a hammer throw. Just pretty simple, self-explanatory. It'll come back. When it does return, it will hit people on its way back. So I'm gonna try to do it properly. You see how it hits them on their way back? So just keep that in mind when you do throw it. You can angle it so that it's gonna go behind them and then it will ricochet back. It's a pretty difficult thing to do, don't get me wrong, but if you can manage to line that up, you're a go. Thor's last ability turns him into a ranged character. As you see, just like this, he now doesn't have to be in melee range to attack you. Again, really nuts how versatile this character is. And then of course his ultimate is going to be when he hops into the air. Underneath him, they'll take damage, and then once he slams down, they'll take damage. The goal of the tank is to create space. Thor is amazing at it. Basically, the easiest thing you can do with Thor is go in, go crazy, and then should you want to dip out, you can go ahead and just press it, dip out like that. As they come and walk through your barrier to chase you, you'll get your stacks back, then you turn into range form and kite back just like that. It's a very good way to create space because you're pushing them away. You're getting the DPS and the healer uncomfortable. Another way to really create space and get the game going is going to be you fly in, you go crazy, whatever you want to do, you ult because now you're on top of everybody, slam down. After you slam down, kill a couple maybe, then dip out once again, let your healers heal you, and then you just created an opening for your team to push forward together and capture the point or push the cargo forward. Very good character on creating space, very good character on dueling. I mean, this dude has it all. The next character that we have up is Penny Parker. So Penny Parker is classified as a hard hero, but in my opinion, the stars aren't always that accurate, and I think for Penny Parker, it's not. It's just she has a lot going on, but let's go ahead and hop into it so we can get started. The first thing you'll notice is that Penny is actually a ranged tank. She doesn't really need to get close, and she can just be perfectly fine sitting with her team and fighting. That's one of the cool parts about Penny, and that's why I think she's really good. People that might not be that great at tanking has an opportunity to play something that doesn't require them to be in melee range. So let's talk about her passive. The first passive that she has is the ability to climb walls, just like that, just like Spider-Man. That's something to think about whenever you're trying to get to the high areas or maybe clear out certain spots. You can pretty much get anywhere on the map as long as you just use a wall. The second passive that she has is whenever she walks into her web, she actually will end up healing herself. If she's capped on healing, if she's max health, she's gonna get bonus health. Now let's talk about her first ability. So her first ability does just that. You just shoot it and it goes anywhere you want it to go, and that will be where it stands. The second way to use this ability could be on a target. When you use it, it's gonna target them, do some damage, but it's gonna stun them as well. So again, 2 ways to use the ability. Either put it on the wall or on the ground, or you could just shoot it at a target. Pretty simple. Her next ability is going to be a mine contraption. So she puts down this contraption and then it has a web spread out everywhere. Remember what I said about the healing, right? Whenever she steps on her web, it's going to do just that. It's going to heal her. So this is a really cool spot to like fight in a battleground, but keep in mind, this can be destroyed. So you don't want to put this in the middle of a field where they can just shoot at it, because this is one of her primary abilities that you don't want being destroyed instantly. Another thing to note is that it shoots out mines for you, but it does have a cap. The more mines that it shoots out, it'll eventually start exploding the previous mines, as you just see right there. So just keep that in mind when you are using this. It's not gonna put down mines forever. Speaking of mines, the next ability that she has is a mine. So whenever you put a mine on the ground, they can see it. But if you put it in her web, they can't see it. So this means, should someone try to walk up on you or your team, they're not gonna know that there's a mine sitting right in there. They can assume, but they're not gonna know. Now, this is different from the mines that this shoots out. As you see, these ones aren't dug into the ground, which means they can see them. But look at this one is. So whenever you shoot a mine of her own in a web, it will dig itself down and you can't see it if you're on the enemy team. If it's not in a web, you can see it. And if it's these ones, you always can see it. So I hope that kind of explains how those mines work. It sounds confusing, but I promise once you start playing it, it won't be. The next ability we have is pretty much similar to Spider-Man's. Wherever you shoot, she'll go. And you can detach yourself by clicking the same button again. Now I'm no longer tethered to it. So you might be wondering, well, what's the point of being tethered to it? Well, if you can hit a web, whether you shoot your own or you tether yourself to one that was already there, you'll notice that underneath my reticle, there's like a little web symbol. The further you get away from the wall, the more it turns orange. When you let go, you'll snap back to where you were. Now you don't have to worry about it breaking, but you do have to worry about it breaking should you go too far from that spot. As you see, I went too far away from the web so it couldn't see me, and it basically just snapped. So it won't snap if you do it this way, like that. It'll just stay at max range and you're chilling. But should you wrap yourself around the wall, or should you go somewhere the web can't physically see you, I guess is the best way to explain it, it will snap. Now let's talk about her ultimate ability. So when she ults, she gets in like a super form and she starts putting webs on the ground, along with putting mines on the ground. She can actively put her mines on the ground by pressing the left mouse button, or L2, or left trigger, whatever you're on. And you can also knock people up by pressing the right side. So right mouse button, right trigger, R1. So if you notice, if I get close, I don't do anything. But should I tap her, or tap them with the attack button, you see they get knocked up. And you can actually juggle people if you do it right. So you can continue to have them kind of pop up. They do have a way to react by moving out the way, but if you can just time it well, they kind of can't do anything. This is a great way to clear space. And remember what we talked about with Thor, clearing space is basically the tank's job. So whenever you get it, that's how you know it's go time. And then you just go in, clear space. Maybe you don't have a good idea of when to go in, but having your ultimate is literally the time you go in. And then once it's about to run out, just run back to your team and then continue to push together. Again, similar to Thor, a lot of the good tanks have a good way of going in and then coming back out to regroup with their team. Penny is no exception. Now we're heading into the DPS category. So when we're talking about DPS, Scarlet Witch is one of the absolute best DPS in the game. One of the main reasons is the fact that she does not have to aim and she can still hit the target. As long as it's near the target, she can hit the target. Now this isn't a sniper level type of ability. As you see, she does have to be relatively close, but for the most part, it does not matter. If people are trying to run away from you, you can kill them. And if they try to outgun you, you can kill them because they can't aim better than you can. Clearly. So her first ability throws projectiles. As you see underneath my crosshair, there's 4, right? This is going to be what she uses to throw. So just toss it and it does the damage. It doesn't really matter how you incorporate it, but that's just a way to hit from long range because again, your regular attack does not hit from long distance, but this one does. So it's not hard to use, just kind of, think about when you want to use it and when you don't want to use it. The next ability that she has is a stun. So she just throws this little ball and then it pops out and then it stuns everybody that walks into it. As you see, it's a periodic stun. So as you move through it, you're stunned, stunned, stunned. You're repeatedly stunned in it as long as you stay in it. I'll show you one more time. You see stunned, not stunned, stunned, not stunned, stunned, not stunned. So as they walk through, they'll get stunned, stop, stun, stop, stun, stop. And it's a very, very strong ability, especially if someone's chasing you. Especially if it's in a choke point, like let's just say this wall and I'm being chased. I put that down and should they try to chase me, it's not happening. The next ability that she has turns her untargetable and it also allows her to reposition and fly away. This is a really, really good ability because anytime that you get scared or you start having a fight or people get onto you, just press that button and you're out. You can choose to go up, you can choose to go down. After the ability ends, you're going to be able to float down as you just seen there. The crazy part about this ability is it has 2 charges. So if I do it once, oh no, I'm going to get caught, I'm out. Oh no, I'm going to get caught again, I'm out. Like, you're not catching this character unless she really just messes up. Last but not least is her ultimate. And one of the things that tanks do, as I said before, is create space. Well, she's no exception. Some of the best DPSs can create space for you. And so what you'll do is you can just, you know, zoom yourself in like this. Once you're in, go ahead and ult. You can get killed during this moment, so be careful. You will get shot down. And then once she ults, she'll kill everything in the area. Even tanks will explode. It's very strong. But again, you can be shot out of it. You can also be paralyzed out of it. Like, there's a lot of ways to stop her. So just make sure when you're doing it, don't just try to like run in and do it. I see a lot of Scarlet players, because there's like Scarlet mains, and then there's just Scarlet players that play her because she's cheap. And a lot of Scarlet players will just like run in a weird direction, and then they'll just ult, and they'll come in, or they'll ult from a very, very, very far direction and try to do it. They always like get shot down. So if you want to be a Scarlet main, be creative about how you approach areas, and don't just walk in, or don't just like go really high and then ult like that and then try to walk in or float in. You will get popped. So that's my advice for that ability. But overall, she's a great character, especially for players who are new to the game or new to DPS in general, and you want something good and impactful and effective. This character is definitely the go-to. The second character that we have for the DPS is Iron Fist. Iron Fist literally is the melee version of Scarlet Witch. One of those characters that doesn't really need to aim and can do a lot. So let's talk about his passive. The first part of his passive allows him to walk on walls. As you just see, I can walk on a wall, but you can only go horizontal, but you can still go diagonally horizontal. You're not just forced to just go sideways, you can go up too. So that's something to think about. The other thing that he has is the ability to get bonus health whenever he kills a target. So we're gonna go ahead and kill this target right here, and you're gonna see I get bonus health for it. See, this is what makes him incredibly difficult to take down, because once he gets on that like killing spree type deal, he's very, very hard to take down. When we're talking about his regular attacks, you'll notice that I'm able to dash to a target when I do my attack. If I get close enough, you'll see there's an orange rectangle that pops up. You see that? If I'm too far, I won't dash to that target. But if I get close enough, I will. This is what makes him a problem, because you don't need to do anything and he just goes to the target. Should you try to run away, he always has a way to get close to you, and he knocks you up. So, I mean, the dude is just very oppressive, very hard to deal with. So talking about his first ability, it's going to block damage and give him bonus health. As you see, bonus HP while blocking damage. Once it's done, you're able to fly to a target and do sort of like a machine gun punch. I'll demonstrate it one more time because I did let it expire for a little bit. So again, block. Once you're done, you're able to just go crazy and like do machine gun punches. That's pretty much how that ability works. The second ability that he has is a dash into a kick. So you'll notice that I'll dash and then I'll lead into a kick. It will knock them away. Remember, he can catch up to you by just being close enough and dashing to you. So this is what, again, makes him very oppressive. Not only can he knock you back when he does his attacks, but he also can knock you back like that. And then he chases you, and then he knocks you up again. So this character is ridiculous. The next ability that he has is something that is allowing him to heal. Just like that, I'm able to heal, and if I heal over my max health, I'll get bonus health. The last ability that he has is a triple jump. He can jump 3 times in the air. Then for his ultimate, he basically gets to go into that machine gun type of position. And when he uses his punches after he guards, this lowers the cooldown of his block. So you can continue to repeatedly block throughout that entire duration. If you notice, the block is 15 seconds without it. But if I go ahead and ult real quick, you'll notice the block is about 2 to 3 seconds. So in this form, he is literally the deadliest of the deadly characters in the game by just ulting. And then as you notice, my block is 3 seconds. And I can continue to just go ham. Just go ham. Doesn't even matter. I'm not even moving, bro. I'm just sitting here punching stuff, going ham, getting over shields for killing people. Like, This character is so insane. It's ridiculous. So he is the second DPS that I recommend, especially if you're looking for a melee character. This guy is the GOAT. Now I will say once he gets to a higher rank, you might not be able to pull off everything, but he's a very good noob stomper and he's a very good entry level character. The same for Scarlet Witch. These are some very good entry level characters to get you used to DPS and really get that ball rolling for you. So let's go ahead and move on to healers. The first one that we have is Mantis. So Mantis has a lot of stuff going on, but we'll dissect it as we go. First things first, you'll notice that she has little leaves underneath the reticle, underneath the crosshair. There's 4 of them. So with this, you're able to use your abilities. If you look to the bottom right, each ability uses 1. When she uses 1, she ends up healing herself. So let me go ahead and get myself hurt. Okay, and then I'll use my heal on him, and I heal myself while I'm healing him. This is a great character that provides self-heal for you, and you don't have to pay attention to it, it just happens. The second part of her passive is the movement speed bonus. Whenever she gets hit, of course, it will drop, but a few seconds later, after you're not in combat anymore, you're really fast. And now when I say combat, you can hit and you won't lose speed, but I just mean if you are attacked, you'll lose that speed until you get to a safe spot to where it comes back. So having the ability to just be faster than any character in the game, more or less, is a very huge plus for a healer, especially those that are new to the role. Let's talk about her first ability. So her first ability is going to be healing your target. The cool part about this is you don't need to aim. I can look way up there and I'm still healing this person. This is one of the better parts about Mantis, is that she doesn't require you to be very accurate with your ability usage. You can be looking to the middle of nowhere and you can still heal people, right? And it's even cooler because if you're fighting and you don't want to move your target hair, you just press the button and you can still heal as long as they're in that kind of vicinity of your crosshair. So you don't need to do this basically, right? You see how like hard that would be? But instead, just kind of do this, and whenever you see someone needs to be healed, just tap the button and you can heal them without moving that reticle. The next ability that she has is similar to her heal, but this one will buff damage instead of heal. So you'll do more damage should you press that button. Pretty self-explanatory. The next ability that she has is a CC ability, crowd control, where they will put you to sleep. So just pop it off and now they're asleep. That's all it is. That's all it takes. It's really cool because you don't need to aim it. It's very like, should you be in my face? I just hit you. Here's what it looks like on an actual character. So let's just say the character's all up in my face. It's Spider-Man, it's whatever. You just, boop, I'm out. And they're just slept. They can't move and you're gone. That's one of the coolest things about Mantis as well, is like, that's your get out of jail free card. Now you will see some Mantis players just kind of toss it in the fight, and you can, but really gauge your thought process on that one. If they have a lot of characters that can dash or get to you, it's best to use it defensively instead of offensively. Her last ability will buff her damage. This doesn't buff heals, so just keep that in mind. It doesn't buff your heals, but it does buff the damage you put out. So something to always think about when you're using that is like, when's the best time should I buff myself? Keep in mind, whenever you use a leaf, you can heal yourself. So let's just say you get hurt and you're like, oh, there's nobody around me, I need to heal. Press that circle or press that inspire button. You can heal yourself. So think of it as a self-heal, not just a damage boost to yourself. When it comes to her ultimate, it's very simple. It heals the team. Should you overheal them, it'll turn into a bonus shield, and everyone in the circle then has bonus movement speed. So heals, overheals, bonus movement speed. Not much really else to that. Very straightforward, very self-explanatory. As I said before, creating space is how your team ends up winning games. Her ultimate is a great way to help push your team in and force that space. The next character that we have is Luna Snow. So when you're playing Luna Snow and you look into a specific direction, once she starts running, she starts ice skating. This will give her bonus movement speed. It does not work backwards, so keep that in mind. You can fight, but it will stop. So also keep that in mind. The other part of her passive is when using 2 of her abilities, she will be able to heal herself. We'll get to that in a bit. I don't want to skip around. So the basic attack of Luna is pretty simple. It's just like every other character. You throw stuff and it hits them. But one specific thing about Luna is that the ability actually is multi-shot, which means that you can land shots even if you miss. So like a regular character, when they throw it, it's gone. But with this character, should you throw but skim a target, you actually can still end up hitting them with your other attacks, even if you whiff the first few or with the last few. So she's always doing damage regardless of your aim, basically. That's something to keep in mind. Even if I do it on a wall, I can kind of show you the spread. You see the spread? So like I might miss in the first one or the second one, but she does 3. So you can see you're able to get multiple hits off at once. Even if your aim is not that great, it's fine. So her basic attack allows you to do damage, but it also heals your team. So pretty much the same philosophy is it allows you to hit your team. Now, when you're healing your team, you do need to actually hit them with her. So that's something to keep in mind. But it's the same philosophy of like, if you whiff the first few, it doesn't matter. As long as you skim them, you'll hit them with the other projectiles that come out of her hand. But the healing is very, very strong. And the cool part about this is that when you throw it, you actually have an easier time healing and fighting because it's simply just moving left and right. You don't really need to focus on much when you're fighting. Again, you don't need to do anything crazy, similar to Mantis, where you're like going like this, like that. If you position yourself well enough, you really could just like sidestep back and forth, and you don't really have to do much aiming at all, and you can still get them as you're healing and damaging. So now let's talk about her first ability. This is also the ability that will end up healing her when she uses it. So this is similar to Mantis, but instead of an AoE zone, she has to hit the target. But as you see, I'm healing myself after using that ability. So not only is it a good CC ability, crowd control, but it also is a good way to heal yourself as well. Again, similar to Mantis, CC them so they get close to you and just dip out. That's all you gotta do. The next ability that she has is kind of like a bind to the target. That's what I like to consider it, like a bind. It will last until they die or until you remove it. But if you see, I'll put a snowflake on him, right? And what this will do is it will not only increase the healing done to this target, it does increase the healing, but should you want to heal someone else, this target will also end up getting healed. So look right here, right? Look at the health bar of the other guy. When I heal this dude, that guy gets healed as well. So that way, you don't have to permanently focus on like swapping between 2 targets like that. You could just simply put it on someone and then heal. And then when you're ready to be healing them again, just, toss it over there and go back to healing the rest of your team. It's a very strong ability, but you will need to use it wisely in terms of who you decide to put it on. The last ability that we have is going to be one of them that heals yourself. So the first ability heals us when we use it. This is going to be the ice ball. You see we heal ourselves. And the last ability will heal us as well. So what this does is it not only heals us, as I just said, but it also buffs your stats. So as you see, I do a little bit more healing and then I also do more damage with it. So it's just an enhanced auto attack basically. So that's what you could think of it like, an enhanced version of your auto attack. Whenever you need more heals or more damage, pop that button and you're good to go. I wouldn't waste it on healing myself. If I were to heal myself, I would make sure that I'm very low before I do that. Like I wouldn't just get low like that, just a little bit, and then be like, oh, I'm healing, oh, I need to heal myself. Because it's just kind of like a waste. Try to use it at the same time that you need to do a little bit more healing or you need to do a little bit more damage. But that doesn't mean just hold on to it conservatively. Find that balance and you'll be good to go. Then when it comes down to her ultimate, similar to Mantis, it's an AoE. This is going to heal and it's also going to boost their damage should you toggle it and switch to purple. So green is heal, purple is damage boost. You most likely will not die unless they 100% focus you, which I've never seen. I've never seen Luna Snow get killed by the entire team doing that. Unless they are 100% focusing you, you will be fine to just walk into people's faces and like move around and help push with your team. Again, creating space is how you take points in these type of games. And so doing that with your tank is a very, very good way to create space. Doing it with your DPS is a very good way to take space and just keep flipping through it whenever you need to heal or do more damage. Now you might be wondering why I don't say play Jeff. The thing about Jeff is he's very technical. He requires very good game sense and he's very technical. A lot of the Jeffs that you'll see are going to be the Jeffs that just do something like this. They don't really play the game that well, but when they get ultimate, they'll grab people and then they'll just kind of like walk off a cliff or they'll shoot them off a cliff and that's pretty much it. That's not how you play Jeff. That's how you play cheap with Jeff. But once you start getting, like if you're playing ranked, once you start climbing or once you start going against better players, that's not going to work. And then you just basically wasted all your time learning how to be cheap and You don't really learn how to play support. You don't really learn how to be a good healer. He teaches you the wrong way to play the game. And this type of character is in many games. There's a lot of games that'll teach you the wrong way to play the game. So this is why I don't recommend playing Jeff. He's actually a very high skill ceiling character that if you don't really know what you're doing and you're just focusing on that type of thing, you would probably just, you're not going to become a good player at all. You're just going to rely on that cheap tactic that won't work against good players. That being said, should you have a friend that plays Groot, playing this character is amazing because his healing is very easy to do. And on top of that, he can put down little bubbles that'll allow you to heal. Again, not a character that I recommend playing solo, but if you have a Groot, this is a very good way to get that player into playing this game. It is a very good way to get them used to healing because you can kind of move around and be that technical character for them while they just kind of press a button and look around. You know what I mean? So I did kind of want to mention him, but I don't think you should play him if you're trying to look to get better at healing. Get better first at playing support, get better at first at being technical, and then start playing this character because he does require a very high skill ceiling to really pull this character off in a good way. So now that I spoke a little bit on Jeff, let's go ahead and talk about the honorable mentions. One of the first honorable mentions is going to be Squirrel Girl. Now, Squirrel Girl is seen to be bad, but that's because a lot of Squirrel Girl players don't play Squirrel Girl right. How many times am I going to say Squirrel Girl in this video? A lot of Squirrel Girl players. I need to stop. A lot of Squirrel Girl, oh my gosh. A lot of the players are going to try to aim and they're gonna try to like land a headshot or something like that. You don't need to do that. When you're playing a character like this that pretty much has a grenade launcher type of ability, you aim for the ground because the ground means that you're able to get a lot more accurate of a shot because you're not shooting at anything but the ground. That is how you play this character. She creates a lot of space, especially if they're all clumped up. Again, don't focus the character itself, focus near their feet, and you will get a lot of damage off. You can even do some trick shots once you get good at her and bank it off of things like that, which then allows you to get much more accurate with how you want to place your shots. This is a very good character, but it has to be played how Squirrel Girl wants to play. A lot of players will play her like all the other DPS, and that's just not how she works. So once you get master how to use it, whether it be banking shots off or just shooting it on the ground, I'd recommend just shooting on the ground until you get better. You're gonna start realizing how strong she is. The other good part about Squirrel Girl, oh my god, the other good part about her is her ultimate. Remember, creating space is how you win games in this game. Her ultimate is very good at creating that space. As soon as you want to start taking over, add this as a bonus distraction, and it's going to be able to do damage, get people out the way. It also, as you see, bounces off of walls. And this is just a great way to litter the minefield with things they have to pay attention to. Now, it doesn't do a ton of damage off the bat, but should they keep getting hit by it, they're gonna take a lot of damage. Put that on top of your tank going in, on top of your DPS going in. It's a lot to handle. That is how you play her. It's about the trajectory. It's about how you creatively use your abilities. She's not straightforward. This is why people might think that she's bad, but she's not actually. She's really good. The next honorable mention is Tony Stark, so Iron Man. The reason why I mention this character is because he's a very good character to use if you want to practice flying. This is the best flying character in the game. There's other flying characters in the game too, but a lot of them will start floating downwards, or they'll like shoot themselves up and then float downwards, whereas Iron Man just stays in the air. Storm does as well, but she's not that great compared to Iron Man, and she's a lot harder to use. So when it comes to Iron Man, the reason why I said he's good is because he can fly really, really, really high into the air, which means that it's hard for people to hit them, especially new players or just players that aren't that good because they don't know how to hit him. They just have a really hard time. The other thing that makes him really good is his R1 ability. It'll be another button for you if you're on a computer, but you don't have to aim. Just look at this. Just point the laser and it does damage. That's all. You don't need to be accurate with your shots. You don't need to do anything. Now, one thing to keep in mind is, as you just noticed, the target, if it gets too far, you can't damage them. So it really is kind of a game of how close you want to be to them. But like the fact that he just melts without having to really do much is insane. Now, this is really good for DPS that try to get all in his face. He just backs up a little bit and then he just like hits them. And you're gonna hit them more than they're gonna hit you if you use this ability. Of course, if you use the regular version, the range does not matter. and you're able to just kind of pop it off. Similar to the squirrel, AoE damage does happen, but it's a lot weaker than squirrels. So just keep that in mind. You do with this character, you do want to try to hit the target, but if you whiff, it doesn't really matter as much, but you do want to try to hit the target if you can. Once again, we talked about creating space. His ultimate is a very good space maker. They're gonna get scared, and if you hit it, you're gonna do a lot of damage. Again, pile that on top of your tank going in, pile that on top of your DPS going in. You have to be taken care of. Like, Iron Man is always a threat when he's just existing. And so this is what makes this character a really, really good choice to pick up if you want to learn how to play flying characters. When playing this game, there's a few types of things you want to pay attention to. Each character has different ways of attacking. You have hit scan. Hit scan is what usually shooter players are used to, where you press the shoot button, and as long as your crosshair is on the target, it will register as a hit. Doesn't matter if they are far, if they are near, it will register. The other type of attack that we have is going to be a laser. So similar to Tony Stark, as you see, it's a laser. There is no travel time. Then you have the projectile. And this is going to be ones that a lot of people struggle with, and why they feel like, well, I'm hitting the target and I just keep missing. Projectiles have travel time. This means that, as you notice, when I move side to side, you'll notice it's still flying in the air as I throw it, which means that if they're moving, I'll probably miss my shot. A good way to get over this is by going down here. If you don't know where it's at, it's right here. So you're gonna go down the stairs of the practice area and swing around, and it'll be right here. So you wanna go here, open this menu, and set target distance to be random, so it appears randomly. You wanna put it to mid-range, so regeneration range is about mid-range. It's harder to hit things in mid-range. As a projectile character, you're definitely not gonna hit long-range shots, so it's just kind of pointless to try. What you also want to do is try to have them move around. So the move action we're going to have being horizontal, and we're going to have the movement speed be super fast. We can also set this to having no timer, so it'll go away when we want it to. And on top of that, we can pick a character that we struggle with the most. Let's just say you struggle with hitting Wolverine for some reason. Well, let's go ahead and set this up.
5, 4, 3.
And you're going to notice that when it spawns, you're going to notice there's Wolverines. And you're also going to notice how much they move, right? And now you can see why you're missing all your attacks without the frustration of being attacked yourself. It's because they're moving. A really good way to get around this is by leading your shots, which means that you shoot a little bit prematurely of where they're going to go, just like that. You see how he wasn't there, but he moved there. Or you can lead with your shots with your body by walking. As you walk, that's how you're going to be able to lead your shots, because you're basically keeping pace with them. Just like that. It's way easier, right? A lot of people will try to do this and land them like that. It's very hard to do that. You're gonna wanna try to move your character's body a little bit to get the aim a little bit better. Now, this is not a character guide. This is also not a tier list. This is just characters that I think that it's good for people to learn, whether you are a new player or you're a veteran trying to learn a new character or a new role. These are the best characters to pick up at the moment, in my opinion. I will be doing a ranked version about which characters I think are best for ranked, as well as tier lists as well. So there's gonna be more Marvel Rivals content coming. So make sure you subscribe, that way you are notified so you don't miss any. And until next time, you know what I always say. If you guys are doing what? Happen often with Lofton.